There are several dozen releases for Beyblade X from various launchers, stadium sets, deck sets, and the bays themselves, leaving many wondering which bays they should buy or simply pass on. Today we're taking a look at each and every release from Takara Tomy outside the B4 limited releases and the special prize bays from the Japanese app, and determining which ones are worth buying, whether you're a casual player or competitive player, or simply which ones you're safe to pass on. So let's get right to it. Now, before we continue on with this video, if you're wanting to get any of these bays or accessories for Beyblade X, be sure to go check out malloftoys.com, sponsor of this channel. Mall of Toys is your #1 one-stop shop for everything Beyblade, from launchers to stadiums and to the latest releases of Beyblade X, including the pre-orders of the all-new Emperor Might deck set and Wolf Hunt. Just make sure you guys use code LESSBINBAYS2 at checkout to knock off 5% of that total cost of yours in the end. That is malloftoys.com. Alright, so pretty much we're going to start this list off at the very tippy top of Beyblade X, starting with the BX-01, which is Dran Sword. This is your stock combo Dran Sword, the very first bay released in Beyblade X, and it is still such a fantastic bay to have. It is so iconic. No matter what, anytime you see the original stock Dran Sword, with the 360 and the flat bit, it is a definite must get. Not only do you have an amazing iconic blade, but you also have that 360 ratchet, which is so highly used, so you can never really have too many 360s, especially with parts breaking and whatnot. You're able to swap it out just fine, you know. So Dran Sword is definitely going to be a must buy no matter what, no matter where you are, no matter how many you have. Now the BX-02, which is Hell's Scythe on the 460 taper. Hell's Scythe back in the day was peak. It was the Wizard Rod on ball combo before Wizard Rod was out, and it had completely dominated the meta. The Hell's Scythe blade is a fantastic blade. Currently though, it is getting pushed out with more of the heavyweights in Beyblade X, so it's about just kind of mid-grade right now. You're not really missing out on too much on any of the parts like the 460 ratchet or even the taper bit. Tapered is amazing, I think, but we still have dozens of other releases that have taper that are a little bit better. So Hell's Scythe, I would honestly, you're really not missing much if you do not get Hell's Scythe. Now our BX-03, which is Wizard Arrow on the 480 and ball. Now you could pretty much pass on this. You can pass on it right away. Before there were so many reprints of the ball bit, this would have been a fantastic bit to be able to get. But you're really not missing out on too much, so it's safe to say you could pass it out or pass on it. There are plenty of other bays and releases that have recolors of the ball bit. The ball bit pretty much is what sold this bay for a lot of people. The ball bit is amazing. It still is highly used in competitive play today. But like I said, there's plenty of other releases that have the ball bit, so you're not really missing out too much on this. And for all the Wizard Arrow fans, please do not eat me up in the comments. Please don't eat me up in the comments. I know Wizard Arrow has actually a really big fan base, and it's actually quite surprising. But that'll bring us to our next release, which is the BX-04 Night Shield with a 380 and needle bit. I am a huge Night Shield fan. Night Shield was my favorite of all these starters. Right out the gate, it was one of my favorite bays. Night Shield, the blade itself is actually starting to get better. We're starting to get more reprints of it that have increased weight or different weight variations. But overall, for the starter pack of the BX-04, again, you're not really missing out much if you skip this release. Night Shield's fun to use in not competitive play. It's fun to use in casual play, but in competition, you are going to be sorely outclassed with a lot of the other better defensive types if you're going on a defensive route or even a stamina route. So the BX-04 Night Shield, we can easily pass on that one. As much as I do not want to say it, it is something you could pass on and you are not going to be missing out too much with. Alright, so we have the BX-05, and I really don't know why Takara Tomy did this so early on, but it's just a recolor of Wizard Arrow, the BX-03, the exact same combo and everything. So again, you're not missing out much with the BX-05. You could completely skip it unless you just like the color better, really. And same with our BX-06 is the exact same combo for Night Shield, the BX-04. So again, I don't know why Takara Tomy wanted to re-release recolors this early on with after just the first 4 bays have been released. So BX-06 and the BX-05 you could both pass on with no problem. You can easily just pass on those ones. However, the BX-07, the Start Dash set, our very first stadium set, is, I would say this is a must buy. Again, it comes with Dran Sword. Dran Sword is fantastic no matter what level of gameplay you are in, whether it's competitive or even casual. But more than that, it has one of the most iconic Beyblade X stadiums, the clear stadium with the black extreme line on it. But it also comes with a string launcher, the very first string launcher, as well as the very first grip for the string launcher. So all in all, it's actually a very complete set for Beyblade X. So the BX-07 is a definite must get if you can still find it. Granted, we have a lot of other stadium sets out there that have better parts or better bays or whatnot. I would still say, because of how iconic the BX-07 stadium set is, it is definitely a must buy. And that will bring us to our BX-08, our very first deck set that was released, the 3-on-3 deck set. Now, it's cool. You get 3 bays for a relatively decent price, a little bit cheaper, saving on money if you were to buy them individually. And the combos are actually not that bad in this set. They are a bit different than our very first recolors, but again, I don't really know why Takara Tomy wanted to release recolors this early on before we even had any other bays released. So the BX-08 deck set, no, it's something you can easily pass on. It's not something you're going to want to pull your wallet out right now and go buy. That's something you can pass on. You're not missing out much. All the parts you already have, if you have the BX-01 all the way through the BX-04, you already have all these parts, so nothing really new has come out at this time. But our BX-09, the Bay Battle Pass, this is a tricky one. If you could get the Beyblade X app from Japan working on your phone, it's a definite must get. Go get it. This is hands down one of the best purchases you can make. However, if you are unable to get the Beyblade X app running on your phone or your Android or your Apple or whatever you have, if you're unable to get it going, all it is just a very expensive paperweight or just a flashy accessory for your launcher, and you can pass on it. But overall, I mean, I have it. I think it looks great. It makes my launcher look cool and whatever. But I am going to say we're going to have to pass on the BX-09 Bay Battle Pass. It's just a little bit too... It's too difficult, I guess you could say. Not that many people are able to get the app running. However, there are still a great amount of people who can get the app running. So again, I guess I'll say it's right in between. If you could get the app running, it's a must get. If you cannot get the app running, don't waste your money on it. And now that will bring us to our BX-10. This is just your Extreme Stadium. Doesn't come with anything. It is just your standard Extreme Stadium from Takara Tomy. Definitely, if you don't want to spend the money, $100+ on getting the stadium sets that come with bays for a lot of the other parts, this is definitely a must get. It is the cheapest alternative, being able to get the standard sized Extreme Stadium from Takara Tomy, and it still is. And the good thing is Hasbro is bringing in this exact stadium and the size and everything over to the Hasbro side to be able to release worldwide. So it's going to be far more accessible. So the BX-10 Extreme Stadium, your white and green Beyblade X standard Extreme Stadium is a definite must get. Now your BX-11 is your launcher grip. Launcher grips, you can never have too much of. Honestly, the launcher grips, they're about mid-grade. I mean, they definitely help when it comes to launching and be able to get different angles and whatnot. However, they are, at least from my experience, I don't know about you guys. Comment below if you guys have this exact same experience, but I blow through my launcher grips like crazy. I will shatter them. I break them quite frequently. So I always have a good stash of launcher grips, and I primarily use the BX-11 launcher grip myself, just because of the aesthetics of my launcher setup and everything. So the BX-11, I would say, is a must get because of how, I mean, it's just how frequently you're going to go through them, especially if you like to have that grip. So next up is your BX-12, which is your 3-on-3 deck case. You guys don't need to get this. It's fun to use. It's great to have, especially if you're competing. The WBO does require you to have a deck case. You cannot compete without a deck case of some form. So this is a really cheap alternative if you don't have access to like 3D printers that kind of create your own deck box. So your 3-on-3 deck case, your BX-12, is a great replacement for that if you don't have access to a 3D printer. However, it's nothing you're missing out too much on. There's people who can 3D print stuff all around the world, and it's actually relatively cheap. So the BX-12 3-on-3 deck case is a pass. Which will now bring us to our BX-13, which is our very first new Bay. After a dozen releases for the Beyblade X line, we finally have our very first new Bay, and that's Nightlands 480 High Needle. Stock combo wise, it sucks. It's pretty terrible, I'm not gonna lie. However, the Nightlands blade is still one of my all-time favorite blades, especially equipped with the 360 and the low flat bit. It's a fantastic combo, great for attacks. However, you know, yeah, well, I'm gonna say we're gonna have to pass on it. It's not something you have to have. Even casual play or even competitive play or whatever you're gonna use it, it still gets pretty outperformed with a lot of the other releases later on. So you don't really see it used that often, if at all. It's mostly, I guess you could say, a collector's piece, really. All right, and now we're on to a really tricky one, which is our very first random booster, the BX-14, with the prize bay of Shark Edge. Random boosters in general, you could pass on. It's really difficult to get the prize bay, which is the thing that you really need out of that set that comes with all the new parts and everything. However, Hasbro has been saving a lot of people with this. So what we're going to do is we're kind of combine the random booster volume sets with the Hasbro releases, because it does make the prize bay far more accessible. So the BX-14, which we're going to call is Shark Edge in general, is a must get. Shark Edge, you can never have enough Shark Edge. I'm telling you, Shark Edge is such a beast. I love Shark Edge. It's still highly used, still very competitive with the current meta and everything like that. It does come with a lot tighter 360 ratchet and that beautiful purple, all purple color scheme and everything. And it has the very first bit variation we got, which is a low flat, which is starting to pick up traction with the CX line. So starting to get more use. So it's great to be able to have that. But now we have our BX-15, which is Leon Claw with the 560 and point. Now, originally I would say it would be a must get. However, we have so many releases of the 560 ratchet as well as even the point bit. Now, point is highly competitive, and same with the 560 ratchet. 560 ratchet with Cobalt Dragoon on Elevate is one of the reigning champions of Beyblade X. So originally I would say yes, it's a get, but because we have so many better releases that feature these parts, Leon Claw in general, you could pass on. You're not really going to be missing out too much with it. And so that's bringing us to our BX-16, which is another random booster, very close to the Shark Edge random booster. So we got the random booster select, however, and that is with Viper Tail. So we're going to do the same thing with the random booster volume 1. We're just going to kind of combine it with the wider accessibility that Hasbro has with Viper Tail. So in general, Viper Tail, you guys could pass on. You're not really missing out much. It's not that competitive. It's too lightweight. It is an amazing looking bay and design wise and everything like that. Even the color schemes of this random booster select are actually pretty fantastic. However, with just Viper Tail in general, you're not really missing out much. I mean, the only other really good thing about this set is you do get the orb bit, and the orb is actually a pretty solid bit. However, much like a lot of these other releases early on, we do have better sets that feature these parts. All right, and now that will bring us to our BX-17, which is the first battle entry set. BX-17, this is your Beyblade X stadium. The most used stadium, the black and the green. This is one of the best stadiums in Beyblade X. It's one of my own personal favorites. And it does come with an amazing recolor of Dran Sword in this red color, as well as actually a really cool looking color scheme for our Wizard Arrow. So the BX-17 is a definite must get if you can only pick out one stadium, the BX-17 is the stadium to get. And furthermore, with that, this red Dran Sword is the only bay and the only drawn sword you could get that actually could help you complete the full stock combo of Phoenix Feather. Around this time, Phoenix Feather was released in the Core magazine as just the blade. However, the 360 ratchet in this red color, as well as the red flat bit, is the only way to be able to get the stock combo for Phoenix Feather. So it does hold a little bit of value in those terms. And now we have our BX-18, our very first string launcher outside the stadium set. And this is, in my opinion, not the best string launcher in terms of raw power. It does have a tendency of breaking pretty easily, but it also has the longest string out of all the Beyblade X string launchers. But this one you can simply pass on. We get plenty of string launchers in a wide variety of colors, so you're not necessarily really missing out on it at all. And that'll bring us to our BX-19, which is Rhino Horn 380 Spike. You could pass on this. You're not really getting too much out of it. You're not missing much. It's really not that competitive. It does not even do too well in casual play. It's just a very fun bay to be able to use. The very first compact bay in Beyblade X. So the Rhino Horn 380 and Spike bit, despite having a brand new bit Spike, it is something you're not missing out much on. Now, for the BX-20, we have our first real deck set, and that's with the Drawn Dagger deck set. So this one, for Takeratomi users, is a must-get. It is the cheapest alternative, being able to get Drawn Dagger, as well as the Rush bit. And outside the Rush bit is the most expensive bit to be able to obtain until Hasbro released the Wizard Rod that had the green Rush bit. So this is the cheapest alternative, being able to get the Rush bit. And overall, just in general, the combos that are used in this deck set are actually pretty phenomenal. So the BX-20 Drawn Dagger deck set is a must buy. And that'll leave us to our BX-21, the Hell's Chain deck set. Hell's Chain is all right. It's not the best Hell's Bay. It does do very well in terms of stamina and defense, but the deck set itself is actually pretty solid and pretty decent as well. However, you're not missing out too much if you do not get this one. So for the BX-21 Hell's Chain deck set, you could pass on this. Again, you're not really missing out too much on it. And now that'll bring us to our BX-22 Dran Sword 360 flat entry package. The only difference between this and the first release of Dran Sword is, instead of an actual winder launcher, you get the very first prototype launcher. And this is also where Hasbro released their first Beyblade X bays. This one you can pass on. Like I said earlier, you can pretty much get whatever stock combo Dran Sword, and it's a must get. However, this one is the exact same release as your BX-01, just with a dumbed down version of the winder launcher. So this one, you could pass on it. You're not missing out on this. And that will bring us to our BX-23, which is Phoenix Wing 960 gear flat. Right away, this is a must get. Phoenix Wing is one of the best, and still to this day, 2 years later almost, is still one of the best attack type blades to use competitively. It is a monster and one of the heaviest blades in the game. Some amazing weight distribution. It has some amazing contact points, and it has the 960 ratchet, the original 960 ratchet, which is one of the tightest versions of the 960 ratchet. Gear flat, I mean, you're not missing out much on gear flat. It's fun to use, but it's pretty terrible stamina wise. However, 960, as well as the Phoenix Wing blade, as well as the amazing string launcher that comes with it, the red string launcher, this is a definite must get. The red string launcher that comes with this is a lot better than the very first string launcher released as a standalone release. So this set, definite must get. All right, so now we're coming down to our second random booster set, and this is with Wyvern Gale. The BX-24, the Wyvern Gale random booster set. In general, you could pass on this. Not even with the Hasbro side, it's not that great. You're not really missing out too much on it. You do get the gear ball bit, and you get the Wyvern Gale blade, but both really aren't very used highly much at all, really. So this one, the BX-24, you could definitely pass on. Now the BX-25, which is our very first official gear case, is phenomenal. It is expensive. However, it is amazing. It looks professional. It just makes everything a lot easier. So the BX-25 actually, I would say, is a must get. It's the official Beyblade X carrying case essentially, and it just makes you look all that much cooler in my opinion. But yeah, so the BX-25 is a definite must get. And now our BX-26, which is Unicorn Sting 560 gear point, and I would say this is a must get. Now hear me out on this. The Unicorn Sting blade is actually a really good blade. It's the first dual-sided blade and balance type blade outside of Hell's Chain essentially. It's the first time we've gotten a balance type blade that's not a Hell's Bay essentially. But the blade is fantastic. It used to be one of the top meta bays, one of the top meta blades in the game. So it is fantastic, and it was a great way to start the year as the first release of the year 2024. It also comes with the 560 ratchet, which is phenomenal. And the gear point bit is getting a lot more love lately, but the gear point is the best gear bit essentially out of Beyblade X. So Unicorn Sting, I would say, is a must get if you can find it. Next up is the BX-27, which is our second random booster select set, and that features Sphinx Cowl. Sphinx Cowl, you guys could pass up on. You're not really missing anything. You're not missing out on anything with this bay. It's a cool looking bay. I love the design, but you're really not missing out on anything if you want something to compete with your friends against, you know. So the BX-27 is a pass. Now we have our BX-28, which is the white version of the string launcher. This is a really good version of the string launcher. It still has the same length in the cord as the red one that comes with Phoenix Wing. So as a standalone, you're not missing out too much. You could pass on it, especially since almost every blader out there does have Phoenix Wing, so you do have your string launchers. Not only that, but most people have multiple Phoenix Wings, so you're not missing out much if you do not get the BX-28, the white string launcher. Unless you just like the color white, that's really the only thing that's going to make it a must get for you. Next up is our BX-29, which is the white custom grip. Again, the custom grips are you can never really have too much on. So pretty much all the custom grips, I am going to say, so the BX-29 and the BX-30, I'm going to say they are a must get. To me, they are essential, really. They do help out quite a bit when it comes to being able to control your bay in an actual battle and in a tournament setting. So both the BX-29 and the BX-30, the white and the red custom grips, I am going to say are a must get. Now the BX-31 is our next random booster, and I'm just going to say it again, none of the random boosters are really worth your time and money unless you just love the thrill of the hunt. But because of Hasbro's release of the main prize bay, which is Tyranno Beat, which is far more accessible and will cost you less to be able to obtain through the dual packs with Hasbro, we're going to base it off Tyranno Beat. Tyranno Beat itself is a must get. It is still highly competitive. It is one of the heaviest blades in Beyblade X. Phenomenal in attack. It's very versatile. It's a very versatile blade. It has been winning tournament after tournament since its release. So the Random Booster Volume 3 set with Tyranno Beat. Tyranno Beat itself is a must get. Now that'll bring us to our BX-32, the Wide Extreme Stadium. You can pass on this. You can simply pass on this. It is a fun stadium if you have multiple people to want to throw down in. However, just in general, it's really not that great. There's nothing really forcing someone to want to get it. You can't really interchange the extreme lines with any of their stadiums or anything like that. You're kind of stuck with what you got. So the BX-32 Wide Extreme Stadium is going to be a pass. Which will now bring us to our BX-33 release, which is Vice Tiger 360 Unite. Now, this is where a little bit of biasm is going to come into play here. I love Vice Tiger, and I love the color of this 360 ratchet, and I love Unite. So overall for me, Vice Tiger, the BX-33 Vice Tiger set, is a must get. Granted, it doesn't come with a string launcher or a winder launcher. It's just a booster set. It is still a must get in my opinion. Vice Tiger in of itself is very highly underrated in my opinion, as well as a fantastic blade, probably the most perfect when it comes to balance type bays. The blade is just fantastic for attack, for defense, for stamina. It's just an all-around great blade. I do wish it was a few grams heavier. It might do way better in terms of competitive use, but for casual use it's still fantastic, and Unite is such an underrated bit as well. But now we have our BX-34, which is Cobalt Dragoon 260 Cyclone. So Cobalt Dragoon, the blade itself, the BX-34, is going to be a must get as well. This is your very first left spinning bay, and for the most part, for actually quite a while, you had to get Cobalt Dragoon if you wanted to use any left spinning bays in Beyblade X period. It's the only way to get the string launcher, the left string launcher. But overall, Cobalt Dragoon, the blade, is still one of the top rated blades in the world when it comes to competitive use and even casual play. It's a fantastic design, the very first true left spinning bay in Beyblade X. So the BX-34, we're going to give it a must get. And that will now bring us to our BX-35, our fourth random booster complete set. And this one features your black shell. So thankfully, Hasbro did release this as a single booster pack, so it's easier to get black shell. Black shell, in my opinion, it's not that competitive, don't get me wrong, but I love it. It comes with one of my favorite defensive bits, which is Dot. I love the black shell blade. To me, I just love black shell. I will personally say, on a personal level, it's a must get to be able to get black shell. However, in all honesty, when it comes to competitive use or even casual play, you can pass on it. You're not really missing out much with it. And now our BX-36, we have a random booster select set, and this one features Well Wave. Again, all random boosters not worth getting, but thankfully Hasbro did release Well Wave stock combo as a booster set as well, making it far more accessible. But Well Wave is a definite must get solely because of the Elevate bit. Elevate is an amazing bit, especially if you have Cobalt Dragoon. So the BX-36 is a must get as well, but on the Hasbro side. And now we have our BX-37, which is a double extreme stadium set. This stadium set is a blast. It is so much fun. Our first motorized stadium for the Beyblade X series. However, you could pass on it. It's not a must buy. It is just absolutely fun. It comes with the Hasbro exclusive brought to the Karatomi side, which is Bear Scratch. Not really missing much out on Bear Scratch either. It's just a retool of Rhino Horn. And it's also just a recolor of Hasbro's Savage Bear. So it's not that competitive. It's super lightweight. You're not really getting much out of it at all. So this entire set, the double extreme stadium set, you could pass on. You're not missing out much on it. And so now we have our BX-38, which is Crimson Garuda 470 Transpoint. I love Crimson Garuda. Crimson Garuda, one of my favorite BX bays. Is not really that competitive. Transpoint kind of sucks. 470 is kind of mid. In general, and in all honesty, you could pass on this bay, but preferential, like same with Black Shell, it's a must get on my own personal end. But just in general, as a whole, you can simply pass on this bay. You're not missing out too much with it. The BX-39, though, which is our next random booster select featuring Shelter Drake. Hasbro just released the Shelter Drake as a booster pack as well. Shelter Drake, you could pass on. You're not missing out too much with Shelter Drake. It's an extremely light blade, and it's the oddball out of the Drake family. It is very fun to use. It's a great ratchet sniper. But it's lightweight in general. Does make it get bullied around quite a bit in casual play and competitive play. So the BX-39 Shelter Drake in general, Shelter Drake you could pass on. You're not missing out too much with it. And so our next release is the BX-40, which is our very first winder, left spinning winder launcher. This is a must get. Granted, there is some controversy amongst it because a lot of the prints do have gear skips, which sucks. However, compared to the only other alternative way of being able to get a left winder is through the anniversary set. This is the cheapest option and it's fantastic. It does change the game a lot for Cobalt Dragoon users because now you're able to actually put it on different builds that are quite strong that do require a winder launcher over the string launcher. So the BX-40, the winder launcher, is a must get. Now the BX-41, we have our rubber custom grip, the gunmetal version. Again, the grip's always a must get. Same with the BX-42, which is the blue version, must get. And the BX-43, the white gear case. This also is going to be a must get. All three of these, BX-41, 42, and 43, are all must gets in my opinion. You have more, we just now have a wider array of options and color schemes, just depending on your preferential opinions on what you guys actually like. But now that'll bring us to our BX-44 booster set, which is Tricera Press M85 Bound Spike. Now this set right here, Tricera Press, is a definite must get. It is an amazing defensive type. It is actually very, very heavy, so it does a very good job defensively. And also has, in its design, it makes it great for a multitude of different types of combos that can be used competitively. So overall, Tricera Press, the M85 Bound Spike, the BX-44 is a definite must get. The M85 ratchet is the heaviest ratchet. We are still kind of working on viable combos for M85. It is still highly burstable, and the bounce spike is actually a really decent bit for any defensive type base. But the Tricera Press blade, the Tricera Press blade is still a phenomenal blade to get. Now next up we have the BX-45, which is Samurai Caliber 670 Merge. Hands down a must get right away. The Samurai Caliber blade itself is amazing. It is so versatile. It is just absolutely amazing. In competition and tournament wise, it does outperform Phoenix Wing in most of the same builds used with Phoenix Wing. It does outperform it quite a bit and defeats Phoenix Wing multiple times throughout tournaments. 670 is actually a really good ratchet as well. The only thing about this set that is not really all that hyped is the merge bit. Now granted, just like Rubber XL, merge really is only good once it's worn down so much that it's illegal to use in the tournament play. But there we go, that is the BX-45, and that is a must get as well. So next up we have the BX-46, which is the Infinity Stadium. The Infinity Stadium, hands down, must get. Not just for the stadium, which is actually really, really fun. Currently working on the video to get that one out for you guys right now, but it is a blast. But the main reason why this is a must get stadium is not for Goat Tackle, the Takara Tomy version, but for Cobalt Drake. So this is our first metal coat Cobalt Drake that's set in a standard release. So it's not locked behind any of the prize bays, gets, or whatever from the Japanese app. So this does give us a chance and an opportunity that we might see Cobalt Drake come into the Hasbro side. Now that is set as a standard release. Now the red metal coat also comes with a white rush bit. A lot of people have been wanting a white rush bit. And just overall, Cobalt Drake alone in the set, metal coat and everything, makes the set 100% worth getting. Now next up is the last of the BX line that is released as of now. That's the BX-47, which is a new left string launcher, this time in a red colored. Again, I mean, it's alright. I don't personally have it. You don't really have a need to get a new one or anything like that. The one that comes with Cobalt Dragoon string launcher wise is good enough as is. And then you also have the winder launcher or whatever. So you're not really missing out on the BX-47, the red left string launcher. The only reason why you'd want to get this is if you want a all decked out red left string launcher setup, I guess you could say. So this one is just, this is alright. You don't really need it, so you can simply pass on that. Alright, now we are finally moving on to our UX releases, starting off with the UX-01, which is Drawn Buster 160 XL. This is a must get. Not just because it's a drawn bay, and drawn bays are just absolutely awesome, but because of the 160 ratchet. Now the 160 ratchet is phenomenal, one of the most used ratchets in Beyblade X. And despite multiple different releases for the 160 ratchet, this one is the most affordable and the easiest to be able to obtain. But overall, the Drawn Buster blade is a fun blade to use as well. XL kind of sucks, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be a combo out there eventually where XL would actually do quite well, and pun intended, XL really. So the UX-01 Drawn Buster is a must get for sure. That'll bring us to our UX-02, which is Hell's Hammer 370 Hexa. This one, out of all the Hell's Bays, this one is a must get as well. Not only do you have an actually really good Hell's Hammer blade, but you also have the Hexa bit, and the Hexa bit is another one of the most used bits currently in the Beyblade X competitive scene. So it is another just fantastic set to be able to get. Another starter pack comes with another winder launcher. So winder launchers in general, you guys, you don't ever have to worry about not having enough winder launchers. You're always going to have enough winder launchers. But the UX-02 Hell's Hammer 370 Hexa with the Hexa bit and the Hell's Hammer blade itself definitely makes it worth getting. And that will bring us to our next one, which is the UX-03 Wizard Rod 570 disc ball. Now, you guys know the answer to this already. Worth getting. Just hands down worth getting. Now, this is one of those few exceptions where every single part is horrible except for one, and in this case, a Wizard Rod blade, one of the top meta blades in the game. So you can never really have enough Wizard Rods. It's also one of the most broken bays in the game, meaning this bay breaks more than any other bay just because of how much use it gets in the competitive field. So the UX-03 is a must get. And now that'll bring us to our UX-04, our first UX battle entry set. And as great as it is to have two really good anime accurate recolors of both Drawn Buster and Wizard Rod, in general, though, this set is not really worth it. You could pass on this set right here. You already have two fantastic stadiums released in the BX line. So the UX-04, not really needed. Now bring us to our UX-05, the Random Booster Select with Shinobi Shadow. Pass. As cool as Shinobi Shadow is, as amazing as the design is, every single part that comes with Shinobi Shadow, and just Shinobi Shadow in general, you could pass on it. You're not missing out. You're not going to really get any competitive viability out of it. So feel free to just pass up on Shinobi Shadow, so you're not missing out on anything. And that'll bring us to our UX-06, which is Leon Crest 760 Gear Needle. This one is a definite must get as well. Leon Crest itself, the blade itself, was the first defensive type that actually broke into the meta, and also comes with one of the other most used ratchets in the game, which is 760. So overall, the UX-06 Leon Crest is a must get for sure. Now our UX-07, which is our next deck set, which comes with Phoenix Rudder. This is a phenomenal deck set. Contrary to what a lot of people say, Phoenix Rudder is actually really good. Now, it is not as good as Phoenix Wing, and a lot of people make the mistakes in Beyblade X, assuming things are an evolution of the previous Bay, which this is not the case. Phoenix Rudder is a variant. Beyblade X does not do evolutions, they do variants. Variants specialize in different fields of expertise. For Phoenix Rudder, the speciality is going to be stamina. Now, compared to a lot of the other stamina bays, it does lack just a little bit, but in general, Phoenix Rudder is actually worth getting. This whole set is actually worth getting. All right, so our next one is going to be the UX-08, which is Silver Wolf 380 Free Ball. Get it. This is another must get bay. Silver Wolf was the first UX bay, technically, the first technical UX bay outside of Wizard Rod in of itself to actually break into the meta, and it became one of the strongest and the best defensive type bays or blades to be able to use on any type of defensive type combo to enter into the meta. So Silver Wolf 380 Free Ball is a fantastic choice to be able to have. Free Ball is an amazing bit. It's a meta bit, so this set comes with two amazing meta parts, the blade through Silver Wolf and the Free Ball bit. Now the UX-09 Samurai Saber 270 level, honestly, you're not missing out on anything on this set. Now I say that for a reason. Despite level being a phenomenal bit, the blade is kind of subpar. 270 ratchet, subpar. The hold launcher in this set, at least, subpar. So you could pass on this. Now, like I said, despite level being amazing, there is a reason why we're going to pass on this level versus another release of level. But now we have our UX-10, the customization set, and this is a must get. This set comes with everything you need competitively. It has several amazing blades, some Hasbro exclusive being brought into Takeratomi's side. You got a red metal coat Tyranno Beat, you got a blue metal coat Hell's Hammer, so you got two metal coat, and you got a grip of bits, you got a grip of ratchets. This set in general is just fantastic. So the UX-10 customization set is a must get. Which now brings us to the UX11, which is Impact Drake 960 Low Rush. Must get. This is another must get release. So pretty much after Silver Wolf, most of the UX line pretty much almost immediately became a must get. That's when they actually started to show their dominance in the Beyblade X meta. But Impact Drake, 960, and Low Rush, all three parts are meta blades or meta parts. They are all fantastic. And just in general, the set is just fantastic and definitely worth getting. The UX12, which is our random booster volume 5 set. Now this set features Ghost Circle as the main prize bay, but out of this entire random booster set, out of all the bays that you can potentially get, there's literally only 2 viable parts in here that actually make the set worth getting, and that's the yellow elevate bit and the green hexa bit. However, just in general, you are not missing out on anything. Even on the Hasbro side, you're not missing out on anything with the UX12, the Random Booster Volume 5 set, with really any of the bays. But that'll bring us to our UX13, which is Golem Rock 160 Under Needle. Again, this is a must-get bay. This bay is phenomenal. Attack builds, defense builds, stamina builds. Golem Rock itself is fantastic. And also comes with all meta parts, including the 160, and also including Under Needle at that time of its release, the shortest bit in the game. So definitely this set, the UX13 Golem Rock, is a must get. So if you see it, get it. You can never have too many Golem Rocks. And now we have our UX14, which is Scorpio Spear 070 Zap. Again, must get. This is a must get. Casual, competitive, whatever. Scorpio Spear is fantastic. It is the heaviest blade, single blade. It is the heaviest blade in Beyblade X, and therefore has a multitude of different variety of combos that just make this bay excel. So Scorpio Spear in general is amazing. The 070 ratchet is a decent ratchet. It is a heavy ratchet. Zap is mid, but just in general, the blade Scorpio Spear makes this set worth it entirely. And now our UX15, the Shark Scale deck set. Again, my dudes, must get. Shark Scale in of itself, just the base Shark Scale, makes this set a million times worth it. But furthermore, it does come with an amazing group of bays that go with this set that makes it even more worth it than what it already is. So Shark Scale deck set is a must get. And here is also why I said Samurai Saber was not worth getting and you could pass on, is because of the level bit that comes in this set. So you already get Shark Scale, plus you get another meta bit, which is level. So you get that all in this one set. So you don't need to spend the extra money on getting Samurai Caliber, or not Samurai Caliber, Samurai Saber and Shark Scale. You don't need to spend the extra money of being able to get that because it all comes in this set. So Shark Scale, the UX15 deck set, is worth getting. But now we have the latest UX release, which is the UX16, which is Clock Mirage. So this is a random booster select. So Clock Mirage, I mean, it's not horrible. It's not great. It's kind of about mid-range. It is the widest blade in Beyblade X. It's wider than Wizard Rod. It's also exceptionally heavy for how thin it is, but it is severely nerfed. Right now, I would say it is safe to pass on this bay. You don't really need it to get anywhere casually or competitively. So unless you just want to collect it because it is a homage bay to Twisted Tempo back with the Metal Fight series. So Clock Mirage, you guys could pass on. You're not missing out too much on parts or anything like that. All right, and now we are on to our CX line, starting off with the CX-01, which is Drawn Brave / 660 and Vortex. So in general, you could pass on this. I mean, the best part about this entire starter pack is definitely going to be the ratchet. The 660 ratchet is a phenomenal ratchet, but that's really about it. So the CX-01 with Drawn Brave, you could pass on it. It's a fantastic, it's one of the better CX plays, don't get me wrong. But just in general, you could pass on it. Now the CX-02, which is Wizard Arc, round 455 low orb, I would personally say is a must get, solely for both the ratchet as well as the bit. The 455 and the low orb bit are fantastic pieces for competitive play. and it's one of the easiest ways and the cheapest ways to obtain those parts, and it's the only set that you can actually get the low orb in. So the CX-02 I would say is a must get, which will now bring us to the CX-03, which is Perseus Dark, Bumper 680, and Wedge. Now this is a little bit controversial, but I would say this set right here, this booster pack, is a must get solely for the Wedge bit. Wedge is a fantastic bit, and this is the cheapest alternative to be able to get the Wedge bit. Now, Perseus Dark in general isn't that great. It's really hard to find a combo. It's really hard to find a combo for any of these CX baits that can actually do some damage in the meta. But for Perseus Dark, Bumper 680 Wedge, I would say is a must get solely for the Wedge bit. Which brings us to the CX-04, the battle entry set for the CX line that has an amazing recolor of Drawn Brave and an amazing recolor of Perseus Dark. This set in general, along with the BX-17 stadium set, this is the best stadium out there. The stadium is fantastic. It's the first stadium that has the Beyblade X logo imprinted onto the plastic, and it just makes it look so much better in my personal opinion. So the CX-04 for me personally is going to be a definite must buy. It's a great way to get the 660 ratchet as well as the Wedge bit, as well as just a badass stadium set. So the CX-04 we're going to say is a must get for the CX line. Now for the CX-05, we got the Random Booster Volume 6 set, and just like all the other random boosters, not worth it. Not worth it at all. But again, fortunately, Hasbro was able to save us a bit on this, releasing Hell's Reaper as a starter pack for the Hasbro line. So Hell's Reaper itself is the best thing about this set in general. It comes with the new amazing kick bit. So Hell's Reaper is a must get. However, just the random booster volume set and everything with the random boosters, you could pass on. So I would definitely go check out Hasbro if you want to get the Hell's Reaper. All right, and now we have the CX-06, which is a random booster select set again. And out of this comes with Fox Brush, 3 amazing recolors of Fox Brush, and some amazing reprints such as the Unite reprint, and some amazing recolors of probably one of the best assist blades in the game, which is Jaggy. So for the Fox Brush set is a definite must get, especially if you want to use CX competitively. The Jaggy assist blade is a phenomenal competitive assist blade for sure. But that will bring us to our next starter set for the CX line, the CX-07, which is Pegasus Blast. Must get. Hands down must get. Pegasus Blast is a phenomenal bait for the CX line. It's the first CX bait to actually truly break into the meta scene and start to win competitions, competing strongly against Aero Pegasus, for example. It is a tank of a bait and the heaviest blade in general in the Beyblade X line. So the Pegasus Blast starter set, the CX-07, is a definite must get for sure. And that'll bring us to our CX-08 Random Booster Volume 7 set. This random booster set, I would definitely say, would be the first random booster set I would say is a must get. Now, this set comes with a lot of amazing recolors of some baits we have never gotten a recolor for, such as Cobalt Dragoon, but it also comes with the Wheel Assist Blade. Now, if you're a CX fan and want to use CX competitively, Wheel is the best assist blade you could use competitively for the CX line. Now, it also comes with an abundance of wall ball bits, and wall ball is a fantastic bit. It has been proving time after time to contend with bits such as ball and orb in terms of stamina. So the Random Booster Volume 7 set, me personally, I would say is a must get solely for the wheel blade, especially if you want to use CX competitively, as well as the wall ball bit. And now that brings us to our final bait on this list so far, the CX-09, which is going to be Soul Eclipse. Soul Eclipse is a definite must get. I love Soul Eclipse. Many people love Soul Eclipse. Soul Eclipse is starting to enter into the competitive scene almost right away. It is our very first true mode changing bait in Beyblade X. It has 8 different modes. It is highly versatile and one of the better of the CX bays. The blade also weighs a good amount as well, and it does come with a bunch of good parts. Even Trans Kick is a surprising powerhouse for a trans bit. So the CX-09, our Soul Eclipse is going to be a must get. And there we go. This was a massive video, but I believe we're able to cover all that has been thus far released in Beyblade X for the main line. Now we do have 2 more bays that are soon to be released that both have tremendous potential, Emperor Might and Wolf Hunt. But as for the performance, actual weight, and how viable the parts are both competitively and casually, I did not want to add them to this video since we really know nothing about them outside just images of them. But comment below your thoughts on this complete buyer's guide for Beyblade X, and what bays would you say is a pass or a must get in your own personal opinion. As always, I do love and appreciate everyone's own personal opinions, especially those who have made it this far in close to an hour-long video. But stay tuned, we do got more Beyblade X content coming to Let's Spin Bays, including Clock Mirage, as well as the Infinity Stadium, both of which had just arrived yesterday, so we'll be getting those filmed and produced here soon. Just make sure you guys are subscribed and have that bell notification turned on so you don't miss out on the next epic video. Now in the meantime, have yourselves a great morning, day, or night, and I'll catch you in the next video.